Well, welcome. It is time for Real Talk, Real Solutions. My name is Dr. Anana. I'm super excited to be able to invite you, to welcome you to the show today. Now, here's what you do. As you come in, you join the broadcast. If you're listening, broadcast on YouTube, Facebook, podcast, make sure you say hello. Let us know where you are chiming in from. We certainly want to welcome you. We invite you to join the conversation. All right. You are going to be in for a treat. Let me tell you, today, this whole entire month, I've been blessed to have the opportunity to do what? To focus on fatherhood, to have this conversation, to talk, have real talk with some amazing fathers from all around the world. I was just thinking about it. Like, this is the second year I've been doing this. So we did this last year, 2020, during the pandemic. So Real Talk really was birthed out of the pandemic and the world being shut down. And how we're a year later, we're doing the same thing, the same theme for the month of June, where we are focusing on fathers. So if you are a father and you're watching, you are at the right place at the right time. If you are a mom on a mission, and you are watching, you make sure you chime in and let's show the father some love. Some love, right? Because listen, we know us women, we can be the most talkative. We usually are the most expressive ones, but sometimes the male voice gets lost or not heard. Maybe it's not louder than ours. The frequency is not the same. But this is an opportunity where we let the fathers speak and share. And guess what, ladies? Guess what, mothers? Guess what, women? We need to listen. Listen so we can learn. And I always say, listen so we can learn and live civility. You guys know the 4 C's: civility, community, creativity, and climate change. So this is certainly a big piece of civility and community, if you will. So I'm excited. I'm glad you're here. We're going to jump right into it. You're here. Give us your name, city, state, country, wherever you're chiming in from. And as you listen, and listen, that's why you got 2 ears, right? I always have my pen and paper because I'm here to learn. They say what? Listen, note takers are what? Money makers. So I'm here to learn, to take some notes. And even as you're watching, I want you to take down some notes or share the notes, share the takeaways, even in the comments, right? Because listen, your takeaway could be someone's breakthrough. I'll say that again. You don't know what you got, what you're hearing could be the breakthrough for someone else. And why I say that is this. You know, we talk about fathers and fatherhood, and that's the theme for this month. About this whole month, I've been delving in this thing about fatherhood, right? And even in the Bible, God is referred to as our Father. Right? He is the father of Jesus, right? So it's always this personal, unique relationship in regards to fatherhood. Right. So I'm even thinking about fatherhood, and I saw a statistic. I think it's Men's Health Week, right? From a statistic from 2020, where there's this high statistic of suicide, and particularly that 75% of the suicides are male. 75% of the suicides are males. This is a statistic from Men's Health Week. And men are less likely to get help, but they really need to learn, or we, even as women, need to create an environment where we encourage men, right, to speak up. And it says to speak up and not man up. That's a whole nother story. I don't know. You know, we think about men and not to cry, not to express yourselves, but giving them the freedom and the wherewithal where they can be themselves and be honest, right? Be secure, right? Of being in their manhood and focusing on fatherhood, even in their fatherhood. So I'm excited. I'm grateful. You know, guys, this is my first Father's Day without my dad. And I honestly, it was a tough experience, you know. So I hope that you all that are watching, fathers, that you had a great Father's Day, right? And listen, even post, what's they going to say? Post Father's Day, happy Father's Day. Real Talk, Real Solutions. Dr. Nana is here to show love to all the fathers around the world this month. So with that, I'm going to get right into it. It's time for some real talk, and I have an amazing guest today. All right, my guest, Mr. Kelly Atkinson. He has over 25 years of leadership and management experience working in corporate America. He is the founder and the CEO of Mind for Success, LLC, which is a personal and development empowerment company. He is a certified life and executive coach. Kelly is also a U.S. Marine veteran. Hoorah! I think I know that by now, right? And he is the vice president, founding member of the New Jersey chapter of the National Montford Point Marine Association. He is a speaker, a leadership trainer, and coach who enjoys helping people overcome their boundaries and achieve their maximum success. Now, we focus on fathers. Kelly has 3 children and resides in New Jersey. I want you to help me welcome my friend, my brother, Mr. Kelly Atkinson, to the show today. Hello, sir.
Well. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you.
How are you?
I am wonderful. How you doing?
I'm good. You looking well in your pink. I see you.
Hey. Real men wear pink.
Come on.
We talk about fatherhood. Real men wear pink.
Come on. That's right. Yeah. That's what's up.
But I just want to take a moment and really just, number one, thank you for the invitation. I'm honored to be a guest on the show. You know, we're friends. I've been following you a long time. And I'm just so proud of you and all the wonderful work that you do with Blessed Girls International. And, you know, I'm a supporter of that. The work you do with Moms on a Mission, your health and wellness business. And even I want to say congratulations, because even during the pandemic, you were honored and received an award, COVID-19 Productivity Leadership Award. So I just want to say kudos and congratulations to you, Dr. Anana, and everything that you do. I appreciate you. I'm sure all of your listeners appreciate you, and you bring value to our lives. So thank you.
Thank you. That's what it's about, sir. You do know that. I just want to take a moment. I see Margie. She says, hey, sis, praise the Lord. She's watching. Okay, they're in Cape May, New Jersey. I see Ava. She is here. Hello. Mary. Now, listen, Mary is all the way in South America. She is in Guyana. Welcome to today's broadcast. What's up? Patricia Moore, you see her. She says, hey, Kylie. That's your cousin?
Yeah, Patricia Moore is my cousin. I guess you put that in there too. I'm not reading it, but that's cool.
Listen, we welcome everybody to the broadcast. We're really grateful that you could join us. Again, make sure you hit the share button. And as we get into it, because we're going to get into it today, make sure you share any of the nuggets, any takeaways, anything that's hit you. If you got any questions, comments, you want to add to it, please feel free to do that as well. So, listen, sir. Now, you know what? You gave me some accolades, some things to remember that happened between 2020 and 2021. But you as well. Listen, you were just ordained. You want to just talk about that just real quick? I know we got a lot to talk about. But come on now.
Absolutely. I've been in church and working in church since I got saved over 20 years ago. And in October of last year, yes, I was licensed and ordained as a minister of the gospel. And, you know, that's something that I definitely enjoy, something I cherish. And the most excitement I got out of that is that my mother was alive to see that, you know, because we all stand, we all grow from the prayers of our mothers and our grandmothers. And I know the prayers of my mother have definitely carried me, even at times when I wasn't carrying myself and wasn't even walking with God. The prayers of my mother led me there. So I'm very excited about that, very excited about purpose and the mission that God has for me and the different things I'll be doing in that area. So I'm absolutely excited about that. And thank you. Thank you for
Yes. Congratulations, man. That's big stuff right there. You know, when we talk about answering the call, you know, the phone, it be ringing. But when we take it and say, okay, I'm going to do this. Let me answer the call. Let me get at it. Oh my gosh, it was incredible. I was really blessed to share that experience with you, and super proud of you. I know it's just the beginning, so I'm excited for you. But thank you for being here. I pray you had a wonderful Father's Day.
Yes, I did. Yeah. We had a great Father's Day. It was a long day. The Montford Point Marine Association that, you know, I'm the co-founder of and the vice president. So real quickly, before we jump into fatherhood, the Montford Point Marine is an organization that honors the first Black Marines. The Marine Corps was the last service in the United States to integrate. In 1942, they start letting black men in, and these black men joined thinking they were going to boot camp, thinking they were going to Paris Island. Instead, they were sent to Camp Moffett Point, which was a garbage dump for Camp Lejeune at the time. So the first black Marines literally had to build their own camp and maintain it. From 1942 to 1949, over 20,000 black men went through boot camp, went and fought in World War II, Saipan, Iwo Jima, all the battles you've heard about in the Pacific. The Marines was there and the black Marines were there too. In 2012, United States Congress honored them with awarded them the Congressional Gold Medal. So one of the things we do, besides give it back to the community and mentoring kids, is that we go out and find these Marines or their families and present the Congressional Gold Medal to them. There's a full formal ceremony to do that. And we had the honor and privilege of doing that on this past Father's Day in Morganville, New Jersey. We presented to the daughter and nephew of a Moffett Point Marine. So they are the trailblazers for all of us black men and women who are Marines now. Those were the real first to fight. So we honor that legacy. So anybody on this that's watching this broadcast, if you have a friend, a grandfather, father, neighbor, co-worker, whatever, and they were black and served in World War II in the Marine Corps, please reach out to me, because their family or that Marine, if they're still alive, have earned the Congressional Gold Medal, and we do present it. Next month, we are actually presenting the Congressional Gold Medal to the 99-year-old widow of a Moffett Point Marine. And the only reason why we were holding up because of COVID, she's in a nursing home and everything was locked down, but she has all of her faculties. She is totally excited. The family is totally excited. They already told us they got like 60 family members that's going to be there. But we're going to have a tremendous event next month, and we're totally excited about that. Think about that. 99-year-old widow is going to get this Congressional Gold Medal as a legacy for what her husband did. We're really happy about that. So as we find them, we get the work done. So I'll take one more plug. If you're out there, you know somebody. I'll put the plug this way, because we have helped families where people have said, I don't remember if it was the Army or the Marine Corps, whatever. Even if you don't know, if you just reach out to me, it's very easy for us to check. And that's a legacy that needs to be preserved. So that's all about that.
Thank you, sir. Just thinking about history and so much of our story, right? It's been lost. We know that. Just last Saturday, finally, the holiday being represented, Juneteenth. I mean, there's so much about our history, African Americans here on this soil, United States of America, that it is certainly overdue that we recognize our history, those that have served and sacrificed. And I love it, the family members, the wives, children, right? And because even in that, they're learning the history, right? They might not even know. I'm sure there's probably grandchildren, great grandchildren, right? That had no idea, but you're even, educating them and letting them know about, the legacy that the elders have left for us.
Yeah. In 2019, we did a gold medal ceremony for a family where the granddaughter was cleaning out her grandparents' house and found some Marine Corps stuff in the attic, and then said, well, let me find out what granddad did. Found out he was a Moffett Point Marine, and the rest is history. We ended up doing a ceremony with the granddaughter, because it is the family. It's the legacy of the family.
Powerful. All right, I see Rev. Rev is here, Reverend Ivy McCoy. She said, what a blessing. And thank you, Patricia, again for chiming in. So, all right. So you are a Marine, and we thank you for your service. And it was quite interesting that last week we had a Marine as well, Professor Burnett Joseph out of Arizona, who was here. So I love that piece of it. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk about this thing. Let's talk about this thing, fatherhood. Well, listen, you and I, the one thing about, look how he real mellow, right? Look how you see he's smooth, he cool. But listen, he has always thought-provoking, right? Ideas and experiences. So I really am excited to hear what you have to say, what the Lord has laid on your heart for the audience, for the tribe today, in regards to fatherhood. Now, first, just I gave a bit about, your bio, if you will, but let's just talk about you, as a father and as a son. If you want to just introduce and let the audience know a little bit about you, and you growing up, and give us a little bit of backdrop of where you come from, and then we can go forward to where you are and what you got to talk about. Come on, all right?
All right, I'll give you a quick story. I am a native New Yorker, born and raised in Brooklyn. Came from very humble beginnings. Grew up with a mother that raised 6 kids in a very tough situation, but had a lot of love. And I like to tell people I didn't know I was poor until I went in the Marine Corps. And then I met all these people who had things that I never had, but when you poor, you living in the neighborhood, everybody had the same thing, nothing. But had a lot of love, but I always had a desire to get more out of life. I was never stuck on where I was. I never made any excuses for anything holding me back. I always had this innate self-will to just do more and want more. So I ended up joining the Marine Corps right out of high school because I said, hey, I'm not going to college. And if I stay on these streets, I'm going to end up in jail. And I went to the Marine Corps, had the 4 greatest years of my life, formed and shaped me into a man, came back, began working in corporate America, like you said, over 25 years, working in IT. Have my own business now. I've been consulting in my own business for the last 4 years, IT consulting, and started my speaking business last year. So it's a lot of stuff going on. 4 sisters, 1 brother. So I know a little bit about I know a little bit about, how to, about women and fatherhood and all those things that you have to know about. Got 3 wonderful children or 4 wonderful children. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. I'm excited to be here. And I just want to share some stuff with you because fatherhood is this subject that kind of takes on its own identity. And especially in our community, we have allowed outside influence to kind of beat down fatherhood. Well, what fatherhood is and just how important it is. And, we have to understand there are reasons why people do that. The Black family is a powerful entity, and to destroy the Black family or to keep the Black family from being united, other people gain in that regard. So fatherhood to me is very, very important. And today I'm going to talk from the position of, because usually when we talk about fatherhood, we talk about men with boys and all this other stuff. But today, very specifically, I'm going to talk about fatherhood, because fatherhood to me is not a position or a title. It's actually a responsibility. And that's how I'm going to come to today.
Now you're going to put a pin in it. Because here's what happens. I got to make sure, because, we start talking, but there's people watching. Okay. All right. Fatherhood is a responsibility.
Fatherhood is a responsibility.
Okay. Got it. Thank you. Somebody put that in the comments. Fatherhood is a responsibility. All right, go ahead.
Just because someone is a father, it does not mean they're operating in the office or vocation of fatherhood. Fatherhood is the act of being a responsible father. Fatherhood, I'll say, is more than finances. There are plenty of fathers who live in the house with their children or who are outside of the home who do take care of their children financially. However, finances are only a part of fatherhood. Fatherhood really, to me, is another form of servant leadership. And that's how you have to look at it when you step into fatherhood. It's another form of servant leadership. Fatherhood is about nurturing and mentoring and disciplining and loving. Fatherhood is teaching by example. And I want to say this to be very clear about it. Fatherhood is just as important for girls as it is for boys. Usually when we hear fatherhood, we start talking about, young men, but young women need fatherhood too. See, boys should fall in love with their fathers and want to grow up and be like their father and take on those characteristics. And girls should fall in love with their fathers and want to grow up and marry a man that has the characteristics of their father. So it's so important that we understand that fatherhood is for the entire family. A child needs to see a man operating in the office of fatherhood and a woman operate in the office of motherhood.
Okay. Wait a minute. Because you dropping nuggets. I gotta just let
Okay, I'll try to slow it down.
Okay, hold up now. All right, let me make
Yeah.
sure we're getting this. Okay, because this is some powerful stuff. First of all, fatherhood is a responsibility. It's the act of being. Oh, that's right there. It's powerful.
Being a responsible father.
Okay, so it's not just having the name of dad, the title of father, of making, right, of saying, okay, I'm their father, but it's an act of being. There's a responsibility, right? There's an accountability, I would think, that comes with that, right? And I love this servant leadership. Okay. Servant leadership. And I like the fact that you said that the mother and the father are equally important. Right? Because you know what? A lot of times we think the mothers, and I saw some posts over Father's Day talking about wishing their mother happy Father's Day. I know you probably see some of them, right? Yeah, we got to change
We're going to get into that tonight.
Okay.
We're going to get into that tonight.
Wait. But the point is equal. And I like to say, like, they're pillars, right? Mm-hmm. So in order to have balance, or in order to have a secure foundation, you do need both, right? So I like to say that to me, it was like, so they're equally important. And so that's all. I just want to make sure we slow down so we can catch up and make sure those are some of the things that I just got from there. So I'm going to let you go ahead. Keep on going. Focus on fatherhood.
And I'll say this real quick because you brought it up. So this is on you. My mother and father were married. They separated when I was very young, 5 or 6. So my mother raised me primarily. My father was there a couple of times, whatever it was. But I tell you what, if I send my mother a Father's Day card, she 80 years old, she gonna smack me upside my head. Okay? So just so that we clear on that.
Okay. All right.
A woman cannot operate in fatherhood, nor can a man operate in motherhood. And I think we know that. Although we do similar things, we can do some of the same things, we are different. We're totally different. We conceptualize things differently. And sometimes we respond to things differently, even though the end result may be the same. And Anana, I'm going to use you as an example in this one. If I can. If you give me permission to use you as an example.
Sure, why not? Okay. Real talk, let's do it.
Right. So here's what I'm going to say. You have a wonderful family. You and your husband has done a phenomenal job raising your sons. In fact, you had 3 young men, and they're doing marvelously well. Right. If I was to ask them the difference when your mother says no, then when your father says no, I guarantee you they will say there's a difference between when you say no and when he says no, even though both of y'all are saying no.
Yes.
And the reason why is this. Because when you are operating in the vocation of motherhood or fatherhood, when you're operating in that, we communicate different. We send out different signals, and it's received differently. Men and women, we communicate differently, and we send different vibes. So even though we're saying the same thing, it's received differently. So when we're raising kids, when we talk about motherhood and fatherhood raising kids, they need to see the yin and the yang. They need to see both sides of it to be fully balanced in what it takes to be a full person, to understand. So I'll circle back to fatherhood and leave motherhood alone because tonight is about fatherhood.
Okay. But I like it. That's definitely true. There's no question about it. They know who to go to. They know the response. You know what I mean? How to move and maneuver. They know us better than we know the differences. You know what I mean? The children learn quickly.
But that's why it's important that they see it. Yeah. Because we're teaching them that. Imagine the children that only see one on the other. And I'm not just talking about single mothers. There's single fathers out there.
Yeah.
Imagine them that just see one. Okay. So to really understand fatherhood, we really need to understand responsibility. Okay. And before we jump into responsibility, I want to talk a little bit about the parameters of fatherhood. It takes a man to operate in the office of fatherhood, just like it takes a woman to operate in the office of motherhood. The great thing about fatherhood is that you don't have to be the biological father of the child to operate in the office of fatherhood. There are thousands of uncles and granddads and cousins and coaches and teachers and men of the cloth. And don't forget about this, and stepdads that are out there operating in the office of fatherhood for thousands of kids out there. And then there's another group that I don't want to leave out. There are even fathers out there who operate in the office of fatherhood in the lives of their kids' friends. So that's how powerful fatherhood is. It's not something that's relegated to your particular family. When men are operating in the office of fatherhood, you could be a father figure. You can provide that guidance and mentorship to the friends, to your kids' friends. Fatherhood is about taking responsibility, even at times when there's no accountability. And that's what I'm talking about. In fatherhood, you could be that father figure, but have no accountability to that person. I'll pause here.
Okay, yeah, wait. Fatherhood is about taking responsibility even when there's no accountability?
Absolutely.
What does that mean?
Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Teachers, coaches, men of the cloth, like I said, stepdads. What about fathers who take that accountability to their kids' friends and they become a father figure there? And there's someone that's watched. And I'll even give you something. I'll go a little bit deeper with it and give you some real live information on this. Let's talk about Big Brothers and Big Sisters, that organization.
Yeah.
They don't ask men who volunteer. They don't ask them to become fathers to these boys.
Right.
No, what they ask them to do is to step into the office of fatherhood and become a positive mentoring influence in the lives of these boys. See, that's what fatherhood is. So if you go by definition, that kind of defines what fatherhood is, to be a positive mentoring influence in the lives of children.
That's good.
And it's not just your children.
Yes.
It's not just your children. You should be that. Once you're operating in the office of fatherhood, you should be that across the board wherever you encounter children, not just your home, in your job, in your vocation, whatever it is. And we see that.
That's good. That's good.
All the time. Yeah. We see stories all the time of kids who say, "Hey, my coach became that father figure."
Yes.
We have that. We always talk about Big Mama. Big Mama raised everybody in the neighborhood, but we kind of forget that there are some dads out there. There are a whole lot of men out there that are father figures, not just in their home, but in their community.
Powerful. And just imagine what it would look like if we have more of that. You know what I mean? Because we know, right? So if you took, upon yourself, or we could be that, where we have men, uncles, all of that, wherever you are, that you see it, your perspective is different. Like, you know what I mean? Nah, you know what? I'm looking at him and I'm checking him just as if he was my son. I care for him. Exactly. I care about his well-being, right? Just as if he was mine. That perspective, how powerful that would be, and what we would see around the globe.
Exactly. It's very powerful, but we need to understand that, and then we have to embrace it.
Yeah.
Because there used to be a time where we lived in a village.
Yes.
Right? And everybody's mothers raised all the kids on the block.
Correct.
There used to be a time, and I'm going to date myself, where my mother's name is Ida. We had Miss Ida, Miss Hattie, and Miss Hilda. They ran my half of the block.
Right.
And any of them could give you correction.
That's right.
Give you a whooping. Or
yeah.
And they would definitely protect you if somebody from the other block or the other neighborhood came.
Yeah.
And we used to grow up that way and be that way. And we've kind of pushed away from that. We let things change us. And now you don't want nobody talking to your kids. You don't want nobody saying anything to your kids. Nobody can bring correction. We done got so bad that in some instances, the teacher and guidance counselors can't bring correction.
Yeah, so we see the result of that. Right. You know what I mean? Like we see that, but that's when we talk about making the change, right, and shifting. Honestly, like it is necessary. It definitely is necessary. This is good stuff. This is good stuff. All right, I hope I didn't. I think I got you. Positive influence, and I love influence all the time. You know that's a JMT thing, right? Just becoming a positive influence and understanding how people say, "Well, I don't influence." You know what I mean? Nobody. I'm not an influencer. Oh, yes, you are. And you're talking about that's basically what we're saying. That even inside your home, but outside of, in the community, in the church, everywhere, that you have the power to influence others if you accept the responsibility.
And I'll take it a step further. If you are an adult you influence kids that you're around. Your kids, your nieces and nephew, any kids, if you work in an environment where you have children, you are an influence because kids look up to adults.
And they're watching when we don't even know it.
Constantly
They're watching when you don't even know it. I can tell one of my kids, my neighbor, they don't even talk about it. But one day we were just talking. He's like, yeah, I remember, Mr. Clark, he always, every Thursday, he would get out there and cut the grape, right? So he didn't never said it, but they were watching and they were seeing manhood, fatherhood in action. Right? In the state of being, acting, of being, right? They were seeing it, they were observing it and learning from it.
Absolutely. Powerful. So we have to be conscious of that and aware of that. So, I talked about responsibility. My son is my oldest child, and he's a junior. So I'm going to tell a story now. So unfortunately for him, he ain't got no brothers. Everybody going to know it's him. But I remember the day he was born. And my son will be 33 this year. But I remember the day he was born. I remember being at the hospital. I remember the labor. And I remember him coming out. And I remember it just like it was yesterday, having this epiphany moment where I said, I am now responsible for this little being. Like, I knew I was going to be a father and all that. I was prepared and all that. But it was totally different when I saw him for the very first time, before they even cleaned him up. And I saw him and it was like, wow, I am responsible for this being. And every decision I make from now on, I have to consider him. And that's powerful. So today I said 3 children. I have 4 children because I am a father who was also a stepdad. So I raised a girl. So since she was 2 years old, raised her just like my own. So I know fatherhood, and I know it's not just biological. Fatherhood is who we are, right? It's the act of being a responsible father, for those kids in our lives. Now, I also have a granddaughter, and she likes to take advantage of my fatherhood. And I'll tell you how she takes advantage of my fatherhood. She's got to figure, you know how you young ladies are, you'll figure things out. So she's 14, and she thinks she has me totally figured out. And maybe she does, but I'll never tell her that. But she knows she will call me and ask me for something, right? Hey, Papa, how you doing? And we have our and we talk frequently, so it's not unusual. But she'll say, I was wondering, can you get me X? It could be whatever it is. And she's like, but I want you to know, you don't have to get it if you don't want to. I'm just asking for it. And, it's okay if you don't get it.
Right.
Knowing that 99.9% of the time she's going to get it, or I'm going to make some sort of deal with her. Well, if your grades go up here, I'm going to get it there. Right. So, spoiling is part of fatherhood too. I just want to put that out there. Spoiling is part of fatherhood too, and you can do it, and you should do it to all your grandkids, because your kids probably didn't give you a chance. You wasn't spoiling them because they was driving you crazy. So get them back and spoil those grandkids. That's older fatherhood. Okay. That's advanced fatherhood.
Okay. So listen, you have spoken. We have gotten that one rule that there is an option for you to spoil your grandkids. Grandparents can spoil their grandchildren. Yes, awesome. Good stuff. And you just had an addition, right?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, now I have 3 grandkids.
That's
right. So I have the baby is going to be 1 in July, and then my youngest, my only grandson will be 5 in August.
Wow, good stuff.
Yes, so we're growing.
Yeah, that's that next level. That's next level of fatherhood and grandfatherhood. It's different, huh? It feels different.
It's fun. It's fun. It's definitely fun.
Awesome. All right. So, are you on track? You need me?
I'm ready.
All right.
Let's talk a little bit more about responsibility. Because like I said, that's why I was going to kind of deal with this tonight in my talk, is really talk a little bit about responsibility. And I want to read you some definitions of responsibility. First is the state or fact of having a duty to deal with something or having control over someone. That's responsibility, right? So when we talk about fatherhood, it's having control over someone. Another definition is the state or fact of being accountable or to blame for something, right? And I'm going to dive into accountability in a little while here, but there's an accountability factor with fatherhood. And yes, you are the blame. You are the blame. And we know that to be true because you blame other people.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody on this, you blame, you have been somewhere and saw some kid acting the way you think your kids should never act. And you said, I wonder where their parents are. That's a shame.
Right.
So we
Somebody.
have blamed other parents. Yes, we have. And the other definition is the opportunity or ability to act independently and make decisions without authorization, which means you're the leader, right? You're the leader. So when we think of responsibility, it's some things that come to mind when we think of responsibility. And I kind of want to talk about it. I hope y'all can see me well because, like, it's a beautiful day. I got all the blinds open and I see the shadows are the sun is going down. So I hope you can see me well. But when we talk about responsibility, one of the things I think about and I want to talk about is authority. When you're walking in the office of fatherhood, you have authority. What that means, you are in charge. You are accountable. You have accountability. That's one of the things. Another thing when I think of fatherhood is burden. The word burden. Guess what? That those children that you're influencing, it's yours to carry. Yes, you do carry that. You carry that responsibility, and sometimes it's heavy, but you carry it. You also have a duty. What? It's your obligation as a father. It's your obligation to step into your calling into fatherhood, to accept the vocation, to accept the challenge, and do these things that you're to do. The other thing when you're walking in that, we have what we call guilt, right? And guilt is just your consciousness, right? It's your consciousness because all of us as parents, we've done something for our kids and we said, maybe we shouldn't have done that, or maybe we didn't do something or was unable to do something for it, and we feel a little bit guilty. We feel a little bit guilty about it. That's all right. It's all these emotions because here's the thing that we all have to understand. As we're operating in fatherhood, we're actually growing. We're growing. It's not stagnant. We're growing as people. We're growing as fathers. We're growing as mothers. We're growing. We're learning things. Anybody with more than one child will tell you there are things you did with the first one that you didn't do with the second one, and vice versa, and all that comes into play. And a lot of times, it's not just, oh, we've grown and we've learned, but sometimes society dictates it. You know, I remember my oldest kids, when those cell phones came out, my kids didn't get a phone until 16.
Yeah.
That was the rule. And they were hot, but when they got it, they were excited. By the time my daughter, right, she was 11 when she got her cell phone, and they went bananas. They lost their minds. I'm like, it's different now. Everybody got a phone. I got to know where she at coming from school. I got to know if something goes wrong. I got to be able to reach her. Plus, she was involved in cheerleading and stuff like that. It's a total different ball game. So you evolve. As you're going through fatherhood, and I'll throw in motherhood in there. As we're going through that, we are evolving as parents. We are evolving as leaders and examples. So, you know, it's some of that going on.
Yeah. No, let me just pause right here. This is good because even again, as we were speaking about it, in the start of like, you're talking about burdens, guilt, right? The obligation, right? And to accept the calling. Now, this is some heavy stuff. Like, I mean, honestly, you know, we're speaking about it, but this is real talk, right? And we understand it. And again, you're talking about, and of course, you know, co-parenting. I mean, there's so many things that go along with this in regards to fatherhood, just parenting in general, right? But there's some weight to this, right? And it's real. It's reality of what we're living and in today's time. So I really want to make sure we don't just skim over that, but certainly there is a burden that comes to answering the call and being a father. There is an accountability, this obligation, reporting for duty, like of course you, sir,
Right.
understand that this is weight. This ain't no lightweight stuff. This ain't for no punks. Being a good father, being a good mother, this is heavy duty stuff. Real talk, right? I mean, like you said, when you get to the grandfather part, then that's nice. That's nice, even squirrely. But when you're in the thick of it, right?
Nah, ain't nobody getting spoiled. Ain't nobody getting spoiled when you're in the thick of it. Because here's the thing, we're maturing in our fatherhood and our motherhood. We're actually maturing, is it, as we're going through.
Yes.
You know, it's OJT. It's OJT. Yeah, our parents done said something to us, and our grandparents have told us this and all that. But we're maturing to it, and sometimes we're hearing the things that we were told as kids. We're hearing those lessons, and we're saying, "Oh, it all makes sense now." It all makes sense now. You find yourself repeating those things.
Yeah.
Well, me now, I can't tell you how much stuff. It's like I got all the lessons I learned. They all make sense now. They all didn't make sense back then, but they all make sense now, and I'm an advocate of it.
I love this part about growing into it.
Yes.
I really do, because a lot of times, you know, I think we talked about a few other episodes too, like we really are learning. Right? We don't have all the answers. There's no textbook that you can pick up. And if somebody got it, let us know. But if there's a textbook and there's a class of parenting 101, of fatherhood 101, we want to know. That'll be the #1 bestseller, because we all need it. Right? So we are constantly learning and growing through this process. And all the children are different. I mean, there's just so much, so much to it. So we all need, what I love to say, that grace. Oh my goodness, his grace is sufficient to us every single day. We need a level of grace, and we're growing as parents, as fatherhood. So I love that. So that was good. I just wanted to just put a pin in it, make sure, you know, we keep it going.
That's okay. What everybody
is important. And there's one thing that you said about learning from our parents, and we're realizing some of the lessons, but then there's some things where we got to say, I can't do, that's not applicable right now. Our parents did it in the 70s and you know, to us, but that ain't gonna fly. We ain't gonna get nowhere with our kids. We're trying to apply some of those same rules and same things now, not put it away too. Right?
But as you mature and as we grow in it, you sift through that.
Yeah.
Right? You sift through it, because guess what? They did the same thing.
Yeah.
They did the exact same thing.
Good stuff.
You know, this is what has been happening from generation to generation to generation.
Nothing new.
It's when we start breaking up family that now fatherhood and motherhood is not operating the way it should operate.
That's good.
But from our ancestors, it was passed down.
Come on. Yeah.
So it's there. You know, the other thing I want to say is a liability. That's another word.
Yeah.
You're operating in fatherhood, there's a liability. You're liable. You don't think you're liable? Let your kid be outside riding his bike and crash into the neighbor's car and scratch it up.
Yeah.
They're not coming to the house to get his piggy bank. They're coming to the house to get your bank book.
Yeah.
You're liable.
Yeah.
So we have all these things. And then the last word I want to talk about is power. Fatherhood is power. And what we're really saying that power is will. It's like God's will. Why do we say God's will be done?
Yeah.
Because God has all the power. God has all the power. So power is will. Now we've all experienced this. We've experienced, I know everybody that's watching this has experienced power from their parents. Because at some point in your lifetime, well, especially if you're older than 30, at some time in your lifetime, your parents said, because I said so. And that was a straight power move to the 8th degree. But power has another way of displaying itself. When I was growing up, and Anana, you're like this, it was if you got in trouble, there was 2 types of penalties. They were called a whipping and punishment. That was it. And sometimes you'll get both. Because typically, if you got a whipping, you was also getting punishment. And punishment simply means when you're a kid, you can't go outside and play, or you can't watch TV, or you can't do this.
Right.
But here's the thing with power. Let's say, because my mother was, whatever your punishment was, how many days she said it was, don't even come to her 2 days early.
Right.
You might get some additional years tacked on that sentence. You know, ain't no probation, ain't none of that stuff. Yeah. I remember me and my brothers and sisters, we get in trouble. We clean the house, we clean the bathroom, we washing the floors. We try to be the greatest kids on earth now.
Too late.
Too late. You've been sentenced.
Right.
here's where power also comes in, because power also can display love and compassion. Let's say you get in trouble on a Tuesday.
That's good.
And you get, or I got punishment, and she said, not only all this week, but this weekend, you ain't going outside the whole weekend. But then power can also display compassion and love, because all of a sudden on Saturday, when I'm sitting in my room and all my brothers and sisters are outside and I'm playing with myself and talking to myself and trying to figure out something creative to do, she can call me in the room and say, all right, I'm going to let you go outside and play. But remember why you were on punishment. And blase. I tell you what, you have never been happier in your life when you're a little kid. That all of a sudden punishment is over, suspended, and you get to go outside. You can't run in your room fast enough to put on your going outside clothes, wash your face, make sure she ain't got nothing else for you to do. Your parents don't want you to do nothing else. It'd be gone.
That's good.
It'd be gone. So power has its place.
I love it.
Power has its place.
Yeah, I love it.
And all of these things have their place because what? It allows us to help mature and grow up well-balanced people, well-balanced adults. If they don't experience all these things, if they're not getting it out of fatherhood and motherhood, where are they going to get it from? Because that was really the biggest boss move. That was the biggest boss move to cancel punishment. Like, what's nobody else going to do? There was no court to appeal to. That was it. That was the biggest boss move.
Yeah. No, this is good. This is good. I like it. I like how you're saying that power, of course, is good. And the balance of, of course, it's discipline, punishment, you know what I mean? Because there's always consequences, right? Yeah. But then also, how powerful is it to show love and compassion?
Exactly.
How powerful is that? Exactly. You know what? I mean, and they're equally, I mean, there's not like, you can't always have the iron clad, you know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing. I had a conversation with a friend of mine 2 or 3 weeks ago. He called me about something, and I do a lot of talking and counseling, all that. But one of the things I said to him was what you just said. I said, listen, man, this is what's going on. I said, and when you have real friends, you can speak freely. I said, you look at everything, and when there's an issue, you see that issue as a nail, and you become the hammer. And I said, everything don't need a hammer.
Oh, that's good.
Everything don't need a hammer.
Yeah.
So you're frustrated now. You're calling me because you really want to be the hammer.
Yeah.
But there's this thing tugging on your side saying, I don't want to go overboard. And my advice to him was, you don't have to be the hammer on everything.
Yeah.
That's not the response to everything.
That's good.
Sometimes it's a conversation.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to woosah. Because sometimes we have to let our kids grow through. Right? We have to let them grow through some things, just like we as adults still grow through some things.
For sure.
We all go through. Hopefully when you go through, you grow through. Otherwise, you go through again and again and again. And again. You grow through.
Yes. Powerful. This is good stuff. I hope you all are catching what he's putting down. I see my mom is here, Elizabeth. She's giving her comments here and being well balanced. Power has its place. Rev is back, so they are definitely chiming in. I'm trying to think of someone. Robert Lyons said very insightful. Letitia Shaw, love this. So thank you guys all for joining us and sharing in the conversation as we focus on fatherhood. And that's my mom says, listen, the hammer is not always necessary.
No, it's not.
Got a lot of tools in your toolkit. Okay, there's a lot of things you can do to build, and it ain't just a hammer. That is really good stuff. Good stuff, man. I'm enjoying this session. You see what happens? How time just goes by, right?
Yeah. Well, the other thing I want to talk about quickly is also restraint. Now, restraint is actually temperament. Right? It's being cool, calm, and collected. Right? Restraint. Kids need to see that. Right? Your daughters and your sons need to see how dad acts in different situations that life is going to throw at them, and model restraint. Right? Not be emotional or not be totally reactive. There are times where it calls for a reaction, and then there's times that calls for cooler heads. there's times that call for, let me think about this and be strategic in my next move. Because we all see, each and every person knows people who are very reactive, right? They're very reactive to everything. And a lot of times they grew up in an environment where that was always demonstrated. Remember, children always imitate. They always imitate. That's why we have this huge responsibility that these things I just talked about, we have to take that on. Temperament is so very important. There's a time to yell, and then there's the time to have a conversation, right? And if you're old school, there's a time for the whipping, but there's a time to yell, and there's a time to have a conversation.
Yeah, this is so
good. We're constantly teaching.
Yeah.
Now, all these things I just mentioned, this is what we model to our kids when we're operating in the office of fatherhood.
That's good.
All those things I just mentioned. So, do you got time for one more story?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll tell you another story, but my son is going to be too happy.
Okay.
I remember when my son was like 14 years old, and he was out with his friends, and one of them had a car. I don't know who. It must have been an older friend. But they was out with his friends, and they're driving a car, and they're in the housing complex there, right, driving around, and it was raining. And I guess somebody let him drive, said, okay, you can drive the car. And he came around this curve, and I guess he was going too fast, and it was raining, and the car probably needed brakes. But long story short, he crashed into somebody's garage. Thank God nobody got hurt, just the car in the garage. So I remember they came to the house and said, boom, boom, car accident, all this. I go over there, and, everybody's out, right? Everybody's out. The police are there by now. Everybody's talking. And I'm sorry, in our neighborhood, it wasn't no snitching. Because everybody was like, Kelly was driving. Kelly was driving. It was Kels. They ran up to me. Kels was driving. They call him Kels.
Point the finger.
Yeah, right? I was like, yeah, Kels was driving and all this. So, I figured out what's going on. I did. I talked to the police officer. And my son is gone. He's not out there. And one of his friends, the friend, oh, no, he went back to the house. So I tell a police officer, I said, hey, listen, Kelly's my son. The person they said is driving is my son. I'm going to go back to my house. It was a 5-minute walk. It was walking. It's right there in the neighborhood. I'm going to go back to my house. I'll get him. I'll be back. And I get to the house, and he's sitting in the living room watching TV. Right? He got some of that temperament he done learned from me because he's cool, calm, and collected. He's cool, calm, and collected. And I'm like, hey, man, what's going on? Oh, no. And I said, hey, it was an accident out there. They said you was driving. So he told me, one of his friends was driving. And I think you're a parent. Maybe, because I think every parent, your friends, they have a friend who had the same name. Because he told me, I don't know, did it. Right? So this friend, I don't know, was driving. So I'm like, okay. Right? There's a time to be a hammer. And there's a time not to be a hammer. And I remember this like it was yesterday. I told him, I said, well, listen, I got to go to work tomorrow. I'm ready to go upstairs and go to bed. If you want me to go back over there with you and talk to the police, I'll do it.
Right.
But once I get upstairs and get in my bed, I'm not getting out of bed for nothing.
Right. You on your
own. I started up the steps and I heard, Dad, yes, I would like for you to go with me back over there. So we went back over there. We handled the business, right? And he only got 2 tickets because the cop said, "Hey, it's an accident. It was raining, so you had to be going too fast to, make the turn." It was like in the turn, and he went right into the garage, and not the whole garage, but half of it, and this thing, and the cop said, "And I got to give you another ticket because you left the scene of the crime, right? You left the scene of the accident, rather.
Right. Big lesson.
You got a ticket for leaving."
Yeah.
But here's what I say about fatherhood. There were so many lessons in that, right? Honesty.
Yeah.
Right? Honesty. Accountability.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Standing flat footing. Owning stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
Right? How do you deal with authority?
Yeah. Yeah.
You see me and the police are having a regular, normal conversation. Right? So when we're operating in fatherhood, to all the men, stepdads, and everybody, and the folks that, maybe fathers, but not operating in fatherhood right now. We carry that.
Yeah.
That's some of those simple acts that we do.
Yeah. Powerful.
We're leading the example.
Yeah.
We're helping them to grow because they're going to see so much more than what we think they see at that time.
And it'll stay with him even longer. I'm sure he remembered this too.
Right.
And, you know,
So we're a model.
Yeah.
We're a model of what it takes to be a responsible adult.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much time we got, but I'm going to give you 5 things.
Okay,
right
come
now.
on.
And these are the 5 elements of responsibility.
Okay.
Number 1 is honesty.
Mm-hmm.
Have to teach our children that.
Yeah.
Compassion and respect.
Compassion. Okay.
We got to teach our kids how to have compassion. And we know respect, but we got to teach them. We got to make sure they're doing it when we're not looking. Mm-hmm. Fairness. Right? How do we treat everybody how to be fair? Mm-hmm. How do we treat them that you don't follow the crowd when the crowd is doing stuff? Mm-hmm. That it should be fairness. Again, accountability is huge. Yeah. You are responsible for you. Right? We know there's peer pressure. I think there's more peer pressure today than it ever was when we were growing up, because we didn't have this wonderful thing called the internet. Right. And all this social media. When I was growing up and you was in school, they had bullies back then. Everybody got picked on. Everybody got called a name. But guess what? On Friday at 3:00, that was it. By the time you got back to school Monday, it was somebody else that was right. It was over. Nowadays, unfortunately, our children get it 24/7.
Yeah, relentless.
Because they're on this social media and everybody's just piling on. We all went through it. Yeah. But it's a different thing now. And you got some people out there that's teaching the wrong thing. And then the final thing, that final element, you got to teach them is courage. Nice. And let me tell you what courage is to young people. Courage is not being strong. Mm-hmm. Courage is standing on your conviction.
Go ahead.
Because there it will always be negative peer pressure. And even more now. Our children has been desensitized by all the sexual stimulation that they get. Courage. Courage is holding on to your conviction as a young person.
That's good.
How do I hold on to my conviction? How do I not be drawn into the crowd? Mm-hmm. How do I say no? Yeah. Do you know a lot of our kids have the hardest time saying no when they're in that group, that circle? Yeah. And I don't care what anybody say. You can fall for all my kids' friends are great too. Mm-hmm. The one you like the most is going to be the one that challenges them.
Yeah. Yes, for sure.
Right? Just like you got challenged. Yeah. It doesn't stop. Someone's going to ask them about sex or want to have sex with them. Someone's going to offer them a joint. Yeah. Marijuana, whatever. Yeah. Someone's going to ask them, hey, do you want to do this or do that? Mm-hmm. Courage is holding on to your conviction, and courage is being able to say no.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Courage is being able to walk away. That's and good. Still hold your head up. So we have to honesty, compassion and respect, fairness, accountability, and courage. We have to teach them that. That's part of fatherhood, but that is part of motherhood too. Mm-hmm. And like I said earlier, they get it on different vibrations. Yeah. They get it on different vibrations. Because boys might be challenged by their boyfriends by saying, oh, you're a punk. Oh, you soft. That's why you don't want to do it. You're scared. Mm-hmm. Well, girls don't say that. Yeah. Girls have other things that they say to challenge girls.
Of course. Of course.
Right? And I'm not going to get into the, oh, you pretty, you not pretty. And, oh, we don't want to hang out with you in this. Oh, no, you can't be with us. Why is it different things? Because like I said earlier, we operate on different vibrations. Yeah. That's why it's so important for men to walk in the fatherhood, women to walk in the motherhood, and they need them both. Because we can say the same things, but they're not received the exact same way.
For sure. Man, oh man, oh man. Guys, was this amazing time tonight? There's so much because we got to come back. We got to talk about this empowerment, the leadership training, the coaching that you do. Just so much that's going on. But today, this month, we were just really blessed to have you to come and focus on what? Fatherhood. An amazing job that you did today. So I want to thank you, all of our audience, for chiming in, for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and share this broadcast. Let it be a blessing, not just to the fathers, but even to the mothers in your lives. My name is Dr. Anana Pfeiffer Darahome. I'm super excited and grateful for you to be here today. I thank my special guest, co-host, if you will, for this conversation on fatherhood, Mr. Kelly Atkinson.
Thank you. Thank
the
you.
empowerment
Thank
expert,
you.
for being here with us today. Listen, you know what I say. Make sure you do what? Be bold, be you, and be blessed. Signing off. Thank you.